Hi there, it's Kevin with GatheringMagic.com, and at this week's episode of the Rogues Alley. This week I'm just going to go back to my pet deck. I know I play this a lot on this channel, but I've already had some requests for trying out the Legion's Landing in Soul Sisters. I think that this is actually a great fit for Soul Sisters as it does everything the deck wants it to do. It puts out a 1/1 lifelinker, which triggers off the Ajani's Pridemate or one of the Soul Sisters. It also helps you get to that life total of 30 for the Serra Ascendant. And it is another thing that will trigger the Archangel of Thune. Whenever you gain a life, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. What I really like about Legion's Landing as well is it's got the synergy with Spectral Processions that if you attack with 3 creatures, then you flip it, and then you have a land that they then can add a creature every turn for just the low cost of 3 mana and tapping it. So that's what I like about this card is it doesn't flip itself. The token is still there. I mean, it's a 1/1 lifelink for 1 mana. That's a pretty solid stats for Modern. It can chump block and gain a life. This deck, it's doing everything you want it to do. And it's doing exactly what this deck is built to face. I like Soul Sisters versus A, aggro, and B, attrition. And of course, it's got the lifelink and the ability to chump block over and over and over once you do get it flipped. And then it plays the attrition war very, very well versus like decks that use a lot of Thought Seizes and Lightning Helixes and Lightning Bolts, those type of cards that are trying to 1-for-1 you. Legion Landing eventually will take over the game. So I'm not sure if this wants to be in more of a Squadron Hawk build. I'm still going the heavy Soul Sisters route. If it ends up being that way, I think the card to cut is going to be Honor the Pure to add some more creatures to try and force this to flip. Also, I'm really messing around with the numbers. I'm thinking 2 is ideal in the deck. I'm going to try 3 just so that we can hopefully see it more often in games rather than this just being a typical Soul Sisters gameplay. So we are going to run the typical build. On our 1-drops, we're going to run 7 combined Soul Sisters, being 4 Soul Wardens or 4 Souls Attendants and 3 Soul Wardens. And then we are going to run 4 Serra Ascendants. Then onto our 2-drops, it's going to be 2 Ajani's Pridemates, 4 Honor the Pures, and 4 Auriok Champion. I am a huge fan of Auriok Champion, especially in this day and age in Modern, as the protection from black and red is very relevant versus Death Shadow and any sort of Lightning Bolt deck. Auriok Champion is going to be your key card. In fact, even against Burn, sometimes Soul Sisters can actually lose against Burn, but they can't lose if an Auriok Champion sticks. So then at our 4-drop, we're going to run 4 Ranger of Eos. They go and grab one of our 1-drops. So usually go grab 2 Serra Ascendants as they become your finishers. 6/6 flying lifelinkers are pretty potent in this format. And then we're going to run 3 Archangel of Thunes at our 5-drop, and then the Spectral Processions at our 6/3-drop. They're going to be one of our most powerful cards in the deck. That's why we're still running Honor the Pure, and the best way to activate both our Windbrisk Heights and our Legion's Landing. Our sideboard, I'm going to run 4 Path to Exiles. Path to Exiles is kind of awkward in the format at the moment. There are a lot of decks where you actually don't care about any of your opponent's creatures, because you'll be able to, your creatures are just going to eventually outclass theirs. But of course, there are some matchups where you do need to take care of a particular creature. I don't even care much about the Death Shadow, for example, in a lot of the Death Shadow lists. If they're running Tasigur is when I'll bring in Path to Exile. Then we have a 1 of Hallowed Moonlight, still really just bringing it in here for anything that tries to cheat cards into play, so Living End is a good one. The Mark of Asylum turns all of our creatures into Auriok Champions. Just a 1-of is great in the format. Rest in Peace I still think is superior over the card that was just printed out of Exile, as just getting rid of graveyards is exactly what you want to be doing against Storm and against the Living End Dredge, those type of decks. Then I'm going to run 3 Stony Silences. It's just going to be for Tron, Eldrazi Tron, regular Tron, Lantern, things like that. We do need a Stony Silence to stick versus those decks. It's decent versus Affinity. Of course, this can be swapped if we're worried about, like, Rule of Law could go here, or another Leyline of Sanctity if you want to combat Storm. That's the problem with Modern, is a lot of time you're basically throwing a dart in the dark, hoping it hits one of the targets with your sideboard. We're going to run 2 Leyline of Sanctities. Those are good versus anything that is trying to either rip out your hand with a ton of Thoughtseize Inquisitions, like Lantern Control type decks. And it's also really good versus Burn. And we are going to run 2 Return to the Ranks as well. This is another card that's very good versus the Attrition War. Jessica Control is one of the top dogs right now, so we do want a lot of action versus that deck. So anyway, we'll queue this up and see how well it does, see if we can get some good gameplay with the Legion's Landing. This has been Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. Thanks for watching. All right, match number 1. This is a keepable hand with Soul Sisters, 3-lander with a lot of action. No Legion's Landing, but that is fine. See what we're up against. And it's going to be a Sliver deck is what we're up against. This can actually be tricky because the Slivers can eventually get Flying, Hexproof, Trample, everything that, like, they just get very, very big versus Soul Sisters. Sometimes this is, I think of this sort of like Merfolk. It is, usually we do very good against creature decks. Sometimes we do bad against creature decks that go over the top of us. We do have the second turn of Ajani's Pridemate, so we can come out the gates pretty well. All the Slivers will get flying, though, so it's going to be hard to chump block. But our opponent might have to start running out Slivers to keep up with us. And Archangel of Thune could eventually hit and just make our creatures bigger than even all the lords that the Slivers are going to throw out. So Modern, I believe there's 3 lords. And it has the Glade, which is really powerful with the flying. So I haven't played this matchup in literally years. Haven't seen a Sliver deck in Modern. So this should be interesting. Is there a new card they're running from the set? I'm only thinking of the adaptive card that turns everything into Slivers. Mutavault's going to be tough too. See if the Lord comes out here. Nope, just another Sliver. And that one's redundant, so that's exactly what we want to see. So I'm glad that it is another Glade Rider and not a... So I don't know if Ajani's Pridemate is actually the right play here. I might just chuck out another Soul Warden. Or yeah, I'm going to actually chuck out 2 of them. I'm going to throw this Flagstones away. Because I do need to stabilize. And we'll go ahead and Flagstones here. And we will go ahead and grab just the plains. And chuck out another Soul Warden. And I will attack it with this Soul Warden. I think that if we trade it with the Glade Rider, that's fine. Yeah, I didn't think that was going to happen. Next turn we can get a huge Ajani's Pridemate followed up with another Auriok Champion. And then eventually we just need to stick that Archangel. So there are some Flying Hasters that are coming out. But I'm gaining a ton of life here, so I'll go back down to a 22. Honor the Pure would be good too, because it would allow me to come back in this. So I'm glad I threw out the Auriok Champion there. Pridemate wouldn't do much. This actually gives us some good. So I'm going to go Windbrisk Heights. See what we find underneath the Heights. And Ranger is perfect. And then we can throw out a Pridemate, which is going to be a 5/5 out the gates. As well as Ranger coming out next turn, depending on what we draw, which then can get us the Serra Ascendant if that's a viable option with us being a high enough life total. So my opponent needs a Lord as quickly as possible. Can just go for the Mutavault attack-ins. I'm glad that that's the route that is happening because I don't think my opponent can attack me down as quick as I can attack them down. I mean, we're taking 8 here. Nope, we're only taking 7. Gonna leave back a Gale Rider Sliver to try to deter me from the Windbrisk Heights, but it's not going to do so. Or maybe they're actually going to block the Pridemate, really go for a race. And there's our Legion's Landing. I can actually flip it with, I think just Auriok Champion's still better. So we'll go Plains. Chuck out the Champion. Gain 3. Then we'll gain 4 as soon as the Heights is active. And I'm sure that this Sliver has to block the Pridemate. Yep. So we'll still throw out the Ranger. And my opponent would have to have like a really powerful card, which I highly doubt that's going to happen. So we don't get it. We actually do get to see the Legion's Landing next turn flip. We'll get a Serra Ascendant and a Soul Attendant. Just because I want to gain some more life off of. I think that, yeah, we need to get it above. Yeah, without the Lords, the Sliver deck is just not going to compete. I'm going to bring in the Path to Exiles, though. Path to Exiles will be for the flying slivers or any other sliver that's really, I don't know, it's kind of awkward. Oh, I know why they're running slivers. They're probably running the new land that adds, you can name a type. So the new, it's just better than Sliver Hive, isn't it? Well, they can't create a 1/1 out of the new set, out of Ixalan. I'm sure that's what they're testing. So now you have Caverns of Souls, Sliver Hive, and the new one. So it's very easy to fix the slivers. Yeah, that's the reasoning. So I do think I need to bring in the Path to Exiles. I don't think I need to bring in anything else. No Return to the Ranks. Paths can just take care of very specific cards. So I could take out like the Auriok Champion. I'm just going to take the Honor of the Pures. Even though those are kind of my lords. I think we're going to win just with the Archangel of Thunes. Going bigger. So I don't want a card like the Honor of the Pure kind of hold me back. So speaking of which, the new land that destroys a land, each player searches for a basic. I think this might be a very, very good deck for it, or matchup versus it, because I wonder how many basics that my opponent's actually running. Maybe they are running one of each. All right, so we're going to see a first turn Legion's Landing. Actually, to be honest, I think first turn Serra Ascendant's still better. But we have the lands to cast an Archangel of Thune. We don't really have a Soul Sister yet to throw for that. All right, starts off with the flyer. I'd love to draw a Soul Sister here. That'd be the ideal draw. Pridemate, that's fine. We'll start off with the Serra Ascendant. Just might as well do the Serra Ascendant. It's a little more powerful with if we can somehow get up to the life total we want to get up to. Vial on turn 2. That's never good, so we don't have to deal with the 1-drop here. I'm going to leave back a Glade Rider Sliver. Now I'm wishing I would have done it the other way around. Let's get rid of some of these lands. And I'll 100% trade with a Glade Rider Sliver because it's one of the cards that's hard for me to deal with. So my opponent might have a duplicate in hand, but it's still, this is still getting rid of a Sliver. They try to swarm. And yeah, I'll take that all day. So I've never really cared for vials, even in slivers. I don't know. Vials work really well in decks where you can take advantage of things coming in with flash. So like with the Harbinger of Tides, I guess Merfolk's very similar though, because I guess you can flash in slivers that are relevant. You know, give them flying when, like flashing a Glade Rider Sliver when they're attacking with flyers, for example, and block. And you usually do want to skip. Like you want to be able to cast on, you know, turn 2 with a vial. You can cast a 1-drop and a 2-drop, and then on turn 3 you can cast a 2-drop and you know 3 1-drops, for example, or another 2-drop, another 1-drop. So it sets you like ahead of turn, and it swarms. But you know, a lot of times people try to play it in like goblins, or I've seen it in kind of some like mono black devotion type lists where they can hold up, they can Thoughtseize and progress their board, and it just doesn't work as well as like it does in Merfolk with the ability to really utilize the flash. So the Necrotic Sliver, it's okay. I think my opponent's just trying to take care of any problematic permanents like an Ajani's Pridemate, but still it'll cost him a creature. I'm not too happy with that other Windbrisk Heights. But we get a bunch of chump blockers. And my opponent's already pretty low at 10. And next turn I have Legion's Landing that will flip, as well as, man, Windbrisk Heights into play tapped is awkward. There's a Mutavault. Still didn't find anything for the Vial to flash in. And a Coco. So Coco is very good here. See if it hits specific creatures. He's like 2 lords here. A Mana Left Sliver that does not have haste at the moment. And there's the Predator Sliver. So that's no good. Gonna keep it back though. There's the Archangel of Thune. So we'll Windbrisk Heights here. To guarantee the Thune, but still no. Usually I like to put like a Spectral Processions underneath this. Is Thune just... No, I still think Spectral Procession's better. Oh, they're all... No, there was an Attendant in there. There's a couple of Ascendants and Attendants. Alright, so we'll go Legion's Landing. Now I don't want to attack in because there could be a Predatory Sliver underneath. And do I care about the spirits? I might as well flip this Legion's Landing. Unfortunately, we don't have the mana for the... Okay, there wasn't anything underneath. There's a Caverns of Souls naming Slivers. 2 cards left in hand. Collected Company, of course, would be the worst case scenario. Maybe like a Sliver Overload or Sliver, whatever the Onslaught one is. Jeez. And the last card in hand being a 3-drop. So a Sedge Sliver. My opponent's going to attack in for 7. Still doesn't have evasiveness yet. The problem is that now my Archangel of Thune is very vulnerable. So that does hurt. My opponent is out of cards, though. We do have chump blockers forever. Do I want to get a... Ooh, that was perfect, actually. Was that lethal? Not quite. Oh, yes, it is. That's lethal. Do I have enough mana? I don't think I quite do. So, Soul Warden. And then Archangel of Thune. Yeah, I don't have the mana yet. But they will get bigger. Before this Archangel dies, my opponent will have to kill it next turn. So I'm wondering if I should just attack in with this vampire while I have it. Because it will give a +1/+1 counter to all my stuff. Yeah, just not quite lethal because they can block. I think I'm just going to attack with 2 since I can't lethal it off here. I am going to attack with this vampire. Just so I can get counters again on my stuff. That being that only one of my flyers has to go through this turn. And I go up to 17. I don't know how relevant that's going to be. We're at the mercy of my opponent top decking a solid answer. I mean, I'm pretty sure that my opponent's going to use the indestructibility to kill the Archangel of Thune, or excuse me, the Necrotic Sliver to kill the Archangel of Thune. I think that has to happen. And then they have to kill the spirit, or they have to kill all this. This is tough. This is really tough for my opponent to try to... survive this. Because they need a flyer. And with one card in hand, being at 3 life, the mana has to happen too. I mean, it has potential to kill. Yeah, but their board is pretty much done at that point. I mean, worst case scenario, there's a Collected Company in hand. We draw another. And I'm going to force off the... All right, it's going to sack the Mutavault. But we do get some nice little triggers. Oh, geez, I should have activated a... Yeah, that was my bad. Oh, well, we'll get it. This guy will be bigger. And I think that's a wrap. I don't think... Because, yeah, my opponent didn't have enough to kill all of my creatures. And so there's that. Oh, we'll go on to the next match. All right, match number 2. Yes, we would like to keep this hand. It's decent. It has a lot of action late game. We do want to draw lands this game. I'll start off with the Serra Ascendant. I think Copperline Gorge. For Goblin Guide. All right, find me a land, Goblin Guide. My opponent is probably on Zoo. They're not going to like this. Serra Ascendant is on top. So let's go ahead and just cast the Serra Ascendant. And next turn we have another Serra Ascendant minimally. Street Wraith. Faithless Looting. What in the world am I playing? Oh, it's probably the honor, the what's that called? The artifact that for each card you discard / cycle in a turn, you can throw one out. So I might actually get wrecked by that this turn because there's the 3 cards that it needs to cast for free, and we don't have a Soul Warden out. I love the Goblin Guide attacking and find me a land. If we can stabilize with this Pridemate, though, we're in great shape. Doesn't look like there is one. All right, so we luck out. And finds me a land. Thank you very much. Because that will definitely change my play here. To go Pridemate. And swing in. And now we have a 3/3 that is very capable of blocking the Goblin Guide. So a Monastery Swiftspear too. I'm pretty sure it's Hallowed One. That's the card I'm thinking of. And now Hallowed One isn't that intimidating since we have a 3/3 Ajani's Pridemate. I'm sure it's going to be like bolted. Okay, there is a bolt on the Pridemate, but that's damage that should be going to my face with a burn-based deck. And a Hooting Mandrills. That's actually a rough card for me to deal with. I have some options here. So I have Windbrisk Heights. Ooh, okay, my options. Do I want to go Legion's Landing? Yeah, I think I'll tap in Windbrisk Heights here so I can get a Ranger. And I guess another Ranger is better under here because it allows me to grab a lot of cards. Not quite sure I even need to block here. That's a potential lot of damage next turn, though. Because I have the Windbrisk Heights online. This guy's a little bit of an issue with the trample. 2 cards left in my opponent's hand. We have an Archangel of Thune coming up. Ooh, that really changes things. So I think we can block on the Swiftspear, but then I think we block on the Guide. I don't think I care about the Legion Landing, flipping, or the Windbrisk Heights. Because 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I have to block here. I'm going to throw everything in front of the Guide. That way, if it gets another bolt, and we gain a life, it still dies. All right, cool. So we kill the Goblin Guide. We're still at a healthy healthy 10. And we have a Ranger that can come out next turn. And we do know about that Archangel Thune. So this is just going to go grab us 2 Soul Attendants. I'm not going to worry about this Windbrisk Heights getting flipped. The name of the game is just to survive. So 3 cards in my opponent's hand. Surprised he didn't use the Faithless Looting. Another Swiftspear. And a Stomping Grounds. With 1 card left in hand. So we're going to kill off the Hooting Mandrill here. The trample is very pesky. Maybe that's not the block, because a bolt could happen. Or a Searing Blaze. Does that become immense? Well, it had to become immense. I believe we lose because of that. Yeah, last card in hand. Okay, I'm not worried about this deck at all. That was pretty much the nuts. Had the perfect mana, had the perfect cards there. I had kind of a dirtly draw. So Path to Exile still I don't think is necessary in this. Return of the Ranks is kind of fun. I just think it's business as usual. I don't think I really mess with anything. I could bring in out the Honor of the Pures. Knowing there's become immense, like, no. Going first is the difference there. It's going to be very tough for my opponent, too. They could be playing the Player's Camp Game Life card that I would have to worry about, but I'm not worried about it. I'm going to keep it, but I don't like this at all. It has the Legion Landing Spectral Procession draw. But look at all these Windbrisk Heights. They're so awful. They all come into play tap. That's why I might want it to just get these Windbrisk Heights out of the way. Yeah, I'm going to do that rather than... I'm going to start putting these into play tapped. Find a Ranger underneath. And pass the turn. And next turn we can do another Windbrisk Heights and throw out Legion's Landing. And then we can have a Spectral Procession out on time. So my opponent does get the first turn Goblin Guide again, which is rough. Gives us a land, though. Perfect. And there's another one. Jeez. All right, so Windbrisk Heights into play tapped. This shouldn't find lands. It does. At this point, I think the Soul Attendant might be more powerful. We'll go with Ajani's Pridemate underneath. Lots of lands on the bottom. There's the Street Wraith. And the Beaumont Courier, which I will block. No, a bolt happens. Ugh, that sucks. See if we get another land. We do not. We have a Pridemate coming up, which is actually quite awkward. But this allows us to go the Flagstones. And Spectral Processions. We will block a Beaumont Courier. A Neonate. Yeah, my opponent's just using a lot of cards that just fill up the graveyard. This is going to be the honor, or the Hallowed one for sure. Oh, back in that Become Immense. I just have a weird draw. Just no Soul Sisters. 11 in the deck. And, we have a hard time finding them. Don't know if I need to make blocks here or not. Found me another land at least. Of course, we're going to let it go through. Have to worry about that Become Immense. And looks like Hooting Mandrill's coming down. Indeed it does. All right, so Archangel of Thune, that's going to be a great draw. I think I lose again, unfortunately. I mean, I could just put out the Island of Pure and Ajani's Pridemate, but then I don't have any way to... Or I could get out the Yeah, okay, so... Okay, and that will give us a Serra Ascendant or Soul Sister. So I think this is the right play. We're going to throw out a Plains. But I'm at the mercy of Become Immense again next turn. I mean, I could throw Archangel Thune, because this is going to flip into a land. So I don't think I actually get this Pridemate. Oh, yes, I do, because it's still... I'll cast this Pridemate, but I'm going to go get two... So we're just going to get a Soul Attendant and a Soul Warden. I'll at least gain 1 life next turn. Or this turn. Because I don't think I put out both. I think I put out 1. And at least it's a 3/3. Okay, so I think I'm actually in good shape. Because we have lethal next turn. Especially with Become Immense being hard to cast. My opponent's just going to pass. Okay, that means a very weak hand is incoming. Doesn't matter. Thune wins the game here. Does Thune quite? This gives 3 counters. I actually don't think we're quite there. But so far, I'm loving this card. It is awesome. The Legion's Landing. So 3, 6, 9, and I think I attack with Pridemate. Possibly not. Possibly just keep everything back. Because I attack, 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 and attack. My opponent does not have to block. I just attack with one spirit, I believe. Because that will bring my opponent down to an 11. And that's lethal next turn. With either the Honor the Pure or... So I'm not going to give my opponent any wiggle room to win. Might be the wrong way to build this. I doubt it. So we have an 8/8 to throw to our Hooting Mandrills. Wonder if he runs Temur Battle Rage. I'm pretty sure Temur Battle Rage is in the list. But still, Becoming Mance and Temur Battle Rage cannot work at the moment. Archangel of Thune can block at this point. It's absolutely fine. So now is there Temur Battle Rage? See, so Temur Battle Rage is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. So my opponent does have the Temur Battle Rage Become Immense combo that can happen. Has to have both cards in hand. The problem is, though, I have this Archangel of Thune, and Ajani's Pridemate that's huge. Yeah, okay. So here's the play. We have another Archangel of Thune coming up. So this Archangel of Thune is going to block the Goblin Guide. Hooting Mandrill 4+4/+4 and Double Strike is going to get really hooked up. Like this. We'll block everything possible. So, I mean, because we have 12, 15 damage, so my opponent can only do like 1 damage there. Can't sacrifice the Beaumont Courier if it wanted to have a combo anyway. So yeah, we knew to Become Immense was coming. It's now a 10-10. And Beaumont Courier is just going to kill itself. And bolts his own Goblin Guide. Doesn't matter. I don't know what that was all about, because you're dead on the backswing. Scary deck, for sure. Maybe I do need Path to Exiles. I typically don't like to run them, but if my opponent is going to go in an all-in strategy, it might just be better than the Honor of the Pures. Honor of the Pures are really, really powerful, though. Maybe not Archangels. Yeah, we're going to lower our land count. Just go to the 1 Archangel. Put in the paths. Another keepable hand, but it's so weird without the Soul Sisters. There's a Courier. Actually, I don't think this was keep. I probably should have just shipped this back. Yeah, Honor the Pure is terrible as well. Hopefully Windbrisk Heights finds all lands in an Archangel. Get him out of the way. Okay, so it finds Archangel. We do have double chump block for the Spectral Processions, and we have Honor the Pure. We need a Soul Sister to hit this turn. I think I've actually lost this one if my opponent has a decent hand. I'm not sure why the Swiss Spirit didn't attack in, though. That was a blessing. Okay, so we get a Soul Sisters here. Pridemate can chump block and take it. No, Pridemate needs to take a Lightning Bolt. Another Street Wraith. Gives back 3 with the Courier. Played a land already this turn. Dropped 2 lands. There's the Hallowed one. Oh, this is getting gross. I could run out a Honor the Pure and a Soul Attendant. Not a fan of this play, though. But we have kind of the combo if I want to take more damage. I don't know if I do. It took too long to get that Soul Attendant. So Neonate's just going to draw a discard, huh? Very efficient of getting rid of all the lands. My opponent was flooded, but there's another Goblin Guide. So I will chump block on. Oh, found me another one. That's nice. We're going to absorb as much damage as possible. Only 2 cards left in our opponent's hand. Can't do the combo yet. I'm so dead to a combo, though. Kind of just want to put out another one and Honor the Pure. I think that's actually better. Well, gets the bullet out of the way. But this is kind of tricky with the Become Immense combo. Faithless Looting. Don't want to see that card either. Allows my opponent to dig for more hollowed ones. Oh, I really don't want to do this. I want to take the damage, right? Because I want Archangel of Thune coming out next turn. There's a Legion's Landing, which is just free. Yes, it is just free. Oh, so Vengevine's in this deck too. Definitely a solid deck. Okay, so now we're in great shape. So we'll attack, which will flip the Legion's Landing. This card's amazing. Absolutely insane in this deck. Boom. I don't think my opponent can come back from this. All right. Whew. Gets the Vengevine and the Hooting Mandrills. Unfortunately, though, that just pumped up my lifelink to insane proportions. Of course, my opponent's going to sack the Courier. I don't know why my opponent's just drawing this out. It's over. And there we go. Archangel of Thune comes through both games. Got a little lucky there that my opponent had a awkward draw. So did we, though, so evened out. We'll go on to the next match, 2-0 so far. Alrighty, we are in match number 3. This is an absolute keepable hand. This is what you like to see in Soul Sisters is maybe we're a little bit heavy on the Pridemate depending on what we're going up against. But if it's like an aggressive deck, this is a decent hand with Soul Attendant into Pridemate, into Pridemate, into Pridemate. If it's like a Tron type deck or even like Escape Shift, this is like the hand that can race those type of decks. And speak of the devil, there's his power plant. So we do want to get out ooh, what's actually better here? Legion Landing might be better. No, but it's going to be a Soul Attendant. I mean, this is typically a terrible matchup, though. Especially a turn Matter Reshaper here is going to be rough. Glad I went the Attendant. I mean, we can get out of the range. There's a Ghost Quarter that can take care of it, sort of. So I think I'm going to run out a Pridemate here. But this is typically one of the harder matchups for Soul Sisters, especially without the Path of Exile's main. We do have like Legion's Landing that can grind this out, but Endbringer, Ugin, all those eventually are going to be tough. I might need to Ghost Quarter away. Something this turn. Another Matter Shaper. They typically do run Waste, though. So I can put out another Pridemate and a Legion's Landing. I don't even know at this point. My opponent has enough mana really to even cast Endbringer if I kill. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4, 5, and then 6. So Endbringer's coming out anyway. I do have to worry about possibly like Ugin. So I think I want to go the stronger play here, which is going to be a Pridemate. And a Legion's Landing. Again, though, this is going to be insanely tough for me to push through. And we're really at the mercy of if my opponent has Tron. But even if my opponent doesn't have Tron, again, the Endbringer is coming out. And without Paths, it's going to be rough. And there's the tower. That adds 5. There could be a Thought-Knot Seer or a Reality Smasher coming down. The funny thing is Reality Smasher is actually not that tough. A Ballista. Ballista is tough. So we have a Windbrisk Heights here. I think another Pridemate's the right play. We do want to flip this Legion's Landing. And those annoying Matter Shapers are going to flip over. Karn Liberated is coming out. Which I'm not sure we can beat. So we had Karn and a Chalice. And that's rough. So there's Reality Smasher. I think my opponent needs to use it defensively. And just a Chalice on 1. Doesn't affect me too much. Archangel of Thune. That would have been nice earlier. So I think the Walking Ballista is going to block this and then kill the vampire. Really? Might just be using the mana to kill off. Well, we'll create a 1/1 life-linking vampire. I think that's better than going a Auriok Champion. Auriok Champion will force out. Nope, we'll go Champion here. My opponent wants to play a creature that pumps up my Pridemates. And Karn actually ends up being just okay. That was a good top deck. Now Karn's really good. All is dust, huh? I don't think I can do much against Karn. If my opponent tops a land. Oh, there's the land. Womp womp. There's Karn. So really, really close. That all is dust off the top was huge. I don't think I destroyed anything with Ghost Quarter. I don't think it would have done anything. Honor's actually okay, other than my opponent can just keep pumping up. Yeah, I'm going to unload my hand for sure. But, I mean, this is rough with Karn. Best card I can draw into is like a Spectral Processions. Can't even cast that, so... It has the mana. And that's lethal. Okay. We'll go on to the sideboard. Not a lot we can run in this. Bring in the Stony Silences. I don't know if Return of the Ranks are actually good in this or not. The paths do seem good. They get rid of Endbringer. They get rid of a lot of the more problematic cards. So, Archangel of Thune is something we do need to play. We don't need Auriok Champions. They're just slow. And Honor the Pures help us against both Endbringer and the Heights. So, possibly... Stony Silence is awkward in this one. It's Expedition maps, and I think it's worthwhile. So there's 3 cards we need to get rid of. Pridemates are fine. Rangers are good. We might just cut down a few. Maybe I don't want this many Stony Silences. We just draw the one, we draw the one. Or maybe it's Path to Exiles we don't want a ton of. Huh. This is just a rough match. Slow, but I'll keep it. What if Legion's Initiative is actually the one card that I want to get? No, it's just, that actually does seem pretty good. Tower for an Expedition. Yeah, I probably should have. The Stony Silences were probably something I... Of course, give me a 1-drop after the fact. There's the Temple. For a Ratchet Bomb. Yeah, Stony Silence. Stony Silence would be really good here. There's a Pridemate. Unfortunately, Tron is coming out next turn. There's not a lot I can do here. Because All Is Dust is a real thing. I wonder if Spectral Processions was just the bad card in the mix. Pretty sure like it all as dust is coming down. Something on that line, Ugin. Walking Ballista on 4. That is pretty rough. And we draw yet another lousy. So block and wipe my board? Is that what my opponent's going to do? I hate doing this. So I'm going to make him choose. So he's going to go for all of my creatures. And we are Thune heavy. I'm sure Ratchet Bomb will just ratchet up. And a Wormcoil Engine. Oh joy, now I need my path back. Windbrisk Heights. Johnny's Pridemate, any order. Mind Stone can just be cycled. Plenty of mana to do whatever with. I actually don't mind that because there was nothing really underneath it that was a problem. Crazy thing is, we're still in this. Oh, we can't cast these because of the Chalice. That is true, because it gets countered. But it does thin us out. We do get Archangel of Thune. Which can win this game. If my opponent just is really unlucky, what in the world do they have in their hand? They just can't cast. Just a bunch of lands? That's going to be game. All right. That's a tough matchup with the All's Dusts and the... Kind of kept a poor hand. Stony Silence does absolutely have to be a high of. It takes care of ballistas, expedition maps, yeah, bombs. Yeah, so that was a mistake for me taking those out. We'll go on to the last match. Match 4. Yes, we'd like to play first. This is kind of a weak hand. I'll keep it, though. Opponent mulls to a 6. We'll lead off with a Soul Warden. Pass the turn. Concealed Courtyard. See what our opponent is playing. An Inquisition of Kozilek finds a Legion landing in my heavy land deck. So we could be playing at Smallpox, which is another extremely rough match. But cards like Legion Landing are actually pretty good versus it. And we can cast both this turn. Get ourselves up to a decent little life total of 22. And if we can flip this Legion's Landing, plus Thoughtseize is pointless if my opponent has a Thoughtseize. Smallpox is actually kind of weak versus Flagstones. All right, we're flipping this card no matter what. There's a Spectral Procession. And the push on the Serra Ascendant. And this is going to be a tough one to prevent the Legion's Landing from flipping. Again, Smallpox is so nullified here, if it is a Smallpox deck. We have some pretty good tops. Well, there's Thoughtseize Inquisitions are all dead now in my opponent's hand. Paths are pretty weak. My opponent's missing land drops too. Just notice that. And this is going to flip over, putting me up to 27 life. I'm actually sure he should path. Okay. The Soul Warden I thought should have gone away there. But we get attacking for 5. And the Legion's Landing flips. So my conclusion is, yes, this wants to be either a 3 or a 4. It doesn't care if it has multiples. It absolutely does not care. Multiples are fine for Legion's Landing. And we're up to that pivotal 30 life total, which will make all of our Serra Ascendants lethal. Going to go for path, so we will. And my opponent's at 13. We've got the 30 life for the Serra's Ascendant. We'll bring in Return to the Ranks, I believe, in this match. Fatal Push Inquisition. Yeah, this is just... it might actually not be Smallpox. This could be like just the Gideon Liliana deck. Man, Suppression Field's going to have to come back in my arsenal. Leyline of Sanctity is kind of fun because it is Liliana's. I think it's worthwhile just to have one. This is a match I don't think Archangel of Thunes are that necessary. Same thing with Mark of Asylum are pointless. On the pures, I don't know if my opponent's bringing any hate. Auriok Champions are actually pretty decent. We don't need a lot of these Soul Warden type cards, though. So I can take those out. I don't know if my opponent is actually... You know, we'll probably run both lane lines. Lane lines seem to really put my opponent back. if I have one, and I think I can drop a land. Ghost Quarter can get rid of Shambling Vent. We'll keep that. So maybe I drop 2 lands here. I've already submitted it though. It's a fine hand. My opponent, unfortunately, has to mulligan again. So what I'm suspecting this deck is Gideon, Liliana, and then that's the win cons, and then a ton of control cards. It's a pretty solid deck. Because you had to figure out a way to deal with Gideon. I'm actually thinking the Legion Landing is going to get hit here. Could go Auriok. But Legion Landing is the right card to pull. In future versions, I'm probably going to go up to a 4 of Legion Landing. It's that good. Can't get it with Ranger, but I'm going to take the Auriok Champion, so that means that it has like Fatal Pushes or something. So we will 100% run out that Legion Landing here, just so it can't get Inquisition down. There's a Serra Ascendant. We have action for a while. Thoughtseize, I'm glad I got it out. He might actually take the Archangel. I'd take the Serra Ascendant now. But I don't care. This is something that, really, Archangel, I can't even cast this stupid thing. So, I'm not that worried about. Could be like Wrath of God type effects. Is there something that... I actually do want to stick this onto the Pure, because it protects me against any sort of -1/-1 effect. There could be all Knight's Betrayal, or what? Yeah, is it Knight's Betrayal, or what's the other one that gives all creatures -1/-1? The Curse of Deathhold, something like that. Occasionally, those run into sideboards. I actually wonder when a curse sideboard package is going to make Modern. There's some pretty sweet curses you can grab nowadays. So again, I'm not quite sure this is the right play, but I'd like to get the Honor of the Pure out, because it just makes all of my cards more threatening. Put some nice pressure. Protects this against Liliana 2.0. So far, so good. Up to 24. So do I care about the Serra Ascendant coming down? We'll go a Soul Warden for sure. That's an easy call. And I believe I will go a Serra Ascendant. This puts us up to a 25. And that puts us later on the attack. Because if I would have gone Soul Attendant, that would have gained 1 life. And then 2 and 3. Oh, actually, it probably would have been better to go the other one. But I can basically top deck into anything here to flip it anyway. Wrath of God would be really, really tough here if my opponent has Wrath of God. Gets rid of his Sorin. That's actually quite quite good. All right, so this allows me not to overextend. Because Wrath of God is a real problem. And we have a 5/5 that's going to be tough to deal with. My opponent Path to Exiles, that's just ramping me up. So Sorin's in this mix too. Again, my opponent could be running both Sorins. The whole theory with it is now that Planeswalkers are no longer kill. If you have the same, you can have a Sorin Solemn Visitor and a Sorin Lord of Innistrad, and they actually work very, very well together. They pair nicely. And so the same thing with Elspeth. Gonna go Damnation. Okay, my opponent showed me that had the Damnation, but did not have the that comes into play tap land. So we thankfully get some good luck there. Go 3-1 with Soul Sisters. Legion Landing is, the verdict is out. The card is absolutely legit. It's going to be great in a matchup like this, especially if it flipped. Think about the Damnation at this point. If we got the Legion Landing, it flips, Damnation wipes the board, we get a 2/2 every turn. We'd have to hit another land, see what we would have drawn into at this point next turn. So even if Damnation hits, the board goes back. We at least get 2 Soul Attendants. Oh, it's not going to let me draw a card. And if we draw a card, then Legion Landing is going to be online pretty soon. We have Return to the Ring so we can draw into. Yeah. Solid, solid, solid addition to Soul Sisters. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video series. I'm going to play the last 2 matchups. The first match I did was a 2-man queue. Here, I'll show you. And we're 2-0 in a competitive modern, or excuse me, 2-1. And so I'll play the last 2 matchups on my channel. So you can see how well we finish off. And yeah, one more thing about Soul Sisters, becomes extremely budget when Iconic Masters comes out. So definitely go pre-order your Iconic Masters if you're looking for Soul Sisters. Has Archangel of Thune reprinted, Serra Ascendant reprinted, and Auriok Champion. All are in that in the Iconic Masters. Ajani's Pridemate, I believe, is also in there. So anyway, leaves us with Ranger, which just got a reprint. So the only expensive card left in the deck is Flagstones, which is not necessary for building a Soul Sister. So it is going to go down. Our Champion and Archangel of Thune are going to get murdered. Their prices are going to go way down. I expect them to half at least. Probably over half for our Champion. The Archangel still sticks at a Mythic and has a lot of pressure from both Commander and other modern decks. But Auriok has a lot less pressure. So the only reason it's expensive is just is printed out in one of the early modern sets. So if you're looking for this deck, it's going to be very, very affordable. We'll probably play it for playing a budget at that point. But I've had a lot of success with it. Of course, you've seen it a bazillion times on this channel and my channel because it's kind of my go-to pet modern deck. Almost every set when a new card comes out, we try to play around with it to see if it gets a good upgrade or not. And I think this one's the best upgrade we've had in a long time. So yeah. Anyway, this has been Kevin with Gathering Magic and Rogue Deck Builder. Come check out my channel at YouTube/Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.